right, here we are.
All right.
Now
we're live.
All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone.
There we go.
Yeah. Yep. we're trying to stream this live both on my channel and on the Snakes channel. So
that's right. Yeah, this is a learning process here.
Indeed.
We've never done this before, so it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got a whole bunch of photographs to look at. We got plenty of topics. Probably not going to be able to get to anywhere near all of them that we want to. But you guys are going to get some. Those of you watching the stream on our channel will get some inside baseball here on what Kyle's doing, because I think you can see everything that's happening on the desktop right now. So you can watch him setting this up in Logic.
Yep.
There it goes.
And on my stream, they just get to see your pretty faces. So.
In our dark studio, like we don't have enough lights in here.
Yeah.
We need you got one of those.
I got too many lights in here. Yeah, it's almost gets too bright in here. But no, it's great to we've been meaning to catch up. I know you guys, anyone was paying attention. I think during the trip we both did a bunch of live streams from Egypt.
That's right.
We got back like 3 weeks ago now, something like that, and sort of had a little bit of time to decompress and process all of what we learned there, as well as take a look at all the images. So we thought it'd be a good chance to get together and talk and go through some of the things we learned or unlearned and some of the highlights from the trip, because I know for sure I learned a bunch of stuff. I definitely moved some things forward for me. So
yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to talk about the anomalous stonework, or what looks like anomalous stonework, and then the possible evidence for and we've discussed this on the audio podcast multiple times already, about what looks like evidence for stages of construction that may have happened very far apart from each other in time, right? So you see one structure that's heavily eroded, and then somebody came in later and did something to it after the erosion took place.
Right. Yeah.
So we got lots of pictures of that, and then there's strange tool marks that we also discussed this on the audio show, but it would be good to show people photos of this, like in the quarry, at the Assyrian, and also let's see where else, at the Assyrian. And the Menkaure
pyramid. Yeah, the third pyramid up on there in Giza with all of the granite casing stones. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right.
That's the one that looks just like a lot of the work from South America. It's these puffy polygonal granite stones. It's like, bang on for a lot of the stuff you see in South America.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Absolutely. And then we have pictures of stone jars.
Yeah.
I picked out specific ones that are a little strange. That where you're like, what was this for?
Right.
Because they're not all jars. They're I don't know. There's just some really strange shapes.
Plates, there's some folded, weird, fluted things as well. So some people may not know, but this wasn't on the itinerary for anyone that was kind of following the tour closely. It was a lot of fun for me. Yusuf and I had sort of planned to spring a surprise on everyone on this trip, and so when we talk a lot about the stone vases, the ones that they have in the museums, they're spread all over the world in museums all over the place. And there was more than 40,000 of them found beneath the step pyramid at Saqqara, which is supposedly the first pyramid. And there's a tremendous amount of stuff down there. So on this trip, Yusuf and I kind of planned this in advance, but we announced it the day before we did it to the tour participants and you guys as well. We had the chance to go down beneath the step pyramid, which has only recently been renovated. And that's quite an adventure. And what's interesting about that, we'll get into the details of what's down there, but there's like 6 or 7 kilometers of tunnels and catacombs, and all of the fragments from these stone vases are still down there. You can go down there and find like large pieces of these incredible hard stone, vases made out of schist or diorite and all sorts of exotic stone types. And a lot of these stones, and we'll show you some pictures of them, they still have the tool marks on them. They have like lathe centering marks. And it's the first chance I had to really handle that stuff, because in the museums that they're all locked up behind glass cases, and they're not going to let like some YouTube punter like me handle that stuff. So it was incredible to get down there and actually put your hands on some of this impossibly ancient stonework.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yep. Oh, thanks so much for doing that, because that was one of the biggest highlights of my trip. I mean, seriously,
for sure,
to go down there and actually handle them, pick them up, look at them, just
Man, some of them were so thin too. It was just like, oh my god, how did they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Stretches the brain.
Yep.
It does. Well, and there's a whole story associated with kind of how they were found and how they kind of get attributed to the Third Dynasty and the Fourth Dynasty. And then, some of the replica work that happened in that period. There's it's a story that continues, or it really starts at the museum that's located at Saqqara, which is the mainstream. They have a scene on a wall that they've taken, and they've put it in this museum in Saqqara, and that's kind of the mainstream explanation for how they made these stone vases. It's kind of an interesting story. It sets up. It's how the mainstream kind of explains it. Well, the Third and Fourth Dynasty Egyptians made all of these vases based on this scene on the wall. But if you look closely at the vases, at the scene on the wall, and the different examples we have in there, it actually tells a different story. One that I think is a little more interesting, and it certainly makes a lot more sense based on the evidence that we have in the vases, in the alabaster pieces that were likely made during that period. But something I think not a lot of people realize is that a lot of those stone vases, they weren't just found in the Third and Fourth Dynasty. I mean, they were found stretching back to the First Dynasty, and even I've seen some examples of prehistoric or certainly pre-dynastic burial sites that were uncovered in the 60s, where they found like burial sites for people, and they found stone vases in them, and in those burial sites they carbon dated those remains back to around 12 to 14,000 years ago. So and you still find these types of stone vases stretching back that far into time. It's
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. I think we have an audio problem on our end. So if people are watching, you probably can't hear me. But go watch
really?
the Ben's channel. Yeah, that loopback software we got.
Yeah.
It just told us that we have to purchase it. So it stopped working in the middle of the stream.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! Can you bring up the level at a few dB? You guys are a couple dBs lower.
Well,
Thanks.
I'm watching what people are saying on the chats, and they're like, "Yep, all I hear is static."
Oh, they're not hearing me either.
Yeah, they're not hearing anything, but it's just like so.
Dear me.
Going on.
Okay.
Anyway, go to UnchartedX. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my channel. So we're streaming live on my channel as well. You guys are welcome over here, obviously.
Yeah.
So I just turned. I see you guys in the chat. I just boosted the snakes volume up a little bit now, as well. So
they couldn't hear us.
Yeah. Stand by with us, guys. It's like I said, first time we're trying this out, doing this live. Normally we take our time and record these, not live, but we thought we'd try and share the experience with everybody here.
We've never tried to live stream from here before.
Ever before. So we're just doing it live. Okay. Fuck it.
So Haley's saying wrong, you hear fine. So you guys are on the Snakes channel and you guys can hear it.
I just reset it to the default. It's going to be you're on the right and we're on the left or something like that. So
okay.
At least it's not static though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good stuff.
But cool, man. Yeah. The stone jars. I actually have a picture here of a very interesting.
Let's get into it.
I want to see. Let's see if this is going to work. This one. It's kind of hard to see these because you're looking through the glass case.
Oh wow!
But
holy crap!
Yeah. So obviously you can tell that they did a lot of reconstruction on this. But this cannot be turned on a lathe unless it went around this way. Somehow, and but even then, I don't know. I guess you could lathe it out from the middle, and then you could do the sides, and then you could cut it in half along its profile, right? Like if this was up against the lathe,
maybe.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
you'd have to.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make this other than like grinding it with some other type of tool, like a CNC. Like a machine tool.
Well, I think there was a lot of that going on. The other object that's like this, that the Schist disc obviously is the famous one. That is the same sort of problem. You can't really shape those things with a lathe. Yeah, and objects like that. There you go. That's the Schist disc. That's also been put back together. And I talked about this isn't a third or fourth dynasty. This was found in the tomb of a prince from the first dynasty, and it's one of the most complex stone objects they've ever found. Obviously, they found pieces of it and they've reconstructed it. They keep moving it around in the museum. It's kind of funny. Every time you go to the museum, you got to go on a little treasure hunt to find the damn thing. They keep moving it. But That's the fact is with the jars too. Like not all the jars. Like, I think the lathe work was involved in a lot of the vases and jars, but there's parts of them that obviously aren't done on a lathe because a lot of those jars have handles, and those handles stick out on the sides, and that's
right.
obviously not something you can turn on a lathe. So I think there were other tools involved in the process as well. A lot of the handles have drill holes in them that go through it as well. I've got a bunch. Now,
Yusuf pointed out that in the case of the handles, you would have to lathe the profile of the handle all the way around the vase.
Yep, and then clean it off.
Yeah. And then you'd have to cut off the part that you don't want and just leave the handle sticking out.
Right.
And then drill through them, right? It's,
yep.
So, yeah, I mean, the other thing is this. It's like,
yeah,
you really try to figure out how to turn this on a lathe. You can't take these parts out on a lathe. This would have to be done after, or the whole piece of stone would have had to have been cut with these grooves first.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's they're not straight across from each other. In other words, it's pentagonal. Makes it even more difficult.
True, yeah, 5 sides on that thing. That's a weird piece. Yeah, there's a bunch of them like that just defy your imagination. And it's clearly got a centering, like that's like that the mark in the center there's seems to be pretty perfectly circular. And there was a piece, even one of the things that struck me was there was a piece, I've got a photo of it on mine, down at the bottom of the step pyramid. Let me see if I can share mine here. Where are we?
Now they're saying they can't hear Ben. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting with
that's all right, man. Yeah.
They can hear us, but they can't hear Ben. He doesn't have anything important to say anyway.
No. Epic fail, I'm going live.
Yeah, we just need to license that loopback software and it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I do it live?
These things
put the credit card info in there? And
no.
sharing
the desktop. Nope, can't do it right now.
Where are we? Bots live podcast. I'm looking for this here. And then I'll share this in a second. My stream can see what I'm doing too because I'm sharing my.
You guys just go to Ben's stream. We might just end our live version because it's not working.
That sucks.
Want me to turn it off?
Let me.
Yeah, we'll just stop it.
Share screen here. Yeah, I'll share this for you guys.
In broadcast.
Okay, so what I was so we can get it. Let's get into this. Let me move this. Get into this the vases thing. What was I going to say? So this was one of the pieces that we found down beneath the step pyramid. Can I make us any bigger here? I don't think so. Show grid video, whatever. It's fine. We're little tiny videos in the corner here. It's all right. So this was one of the pieces that we found down beneath the step pyramid. I'm not sure what stone this is. You guys can see this?
Yeah.
You can remember this piece. It's translucent, so when we
it looks like quartz almost.
Yeah, it's
like
sort of
smoky quartz.
Right, and it was translucent. I remember we were shining a torch beneath it, and you could see the light come through the stone. But what I found interesting, just handling this thing, is obviously you have this laid out center mark in it, but you can kind of see it in the center. There's a depression. There was absolutely a centering mark and a centering depression on here, which is really only used if you've got that tool, that piece set up on a lathe and you're spinning it that way. But yeah, down beneath the step pyramid, there was just tons of this sort of stuff down there. Maybe we can go through kind of that journey down beneath the step pyramid. Some of you may have seen from some of my other videos, but when you get down beneath the step pyramid, there's 5 or 6 levels of tunnels and structures, and as I said, like at least 6 kilometers of tunnels and catacombs down there. They're still digging and they're still clearing them out. But one thing you do find when you get down there at the bottom of this, right beneath the step pyramid, is this giant shaft. Big open shaft. It's like 90, 100 feet deep, and as you can see, 30 or 40 foot wide. And in it, right at the bottom here, is this just gigantic multi-piece granite box. It's made up of 32 pieces of granite. Most of these pieces weigh between probably 2 and 5 or 6 tons, and it's sort of sitting at the bottom of this shaft right beneath where the step pyramid is. So last year when I was in Egypt 2020, you can get into what's called the Persian tunnel, and it's a tunnel dug by the Persians to get into just beneath the pyramid, and you pop out and you're looking down at the top of the shaft. You're looking down on top of this box. So I'd always wanted to get down here, so this is the special permission that let us get down in here and actually take a closer look at this thing. But
yeah, that was amazing to go down in there. I actually wanted to try going in through the top and looking down at it first, but we just went straight down it because I've seen your video where you walk up and then look down, and it's pretty impressive to see it from way up there.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a good picture of you, Russ. There too.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Roger, thank you for that super chat, man.
I have lots of photos of the tunnels down here. What did you guys think of the crystals growing out of the walls? Like, I was trying to get more information from the archaeologist on how long that takes for those things to grow, and they didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, I've definitely got it on the video. Maybe I could pop it up on the video here, at least that the people will see it. Although you won't, it'll be a little jumpy around for you. But so that's one of the things that happens when you get down into these tunnels, and this is what some of the tunnels kind of look like down beneath the step pyramid. Maybe we can see some of it on the walls here. But the salt crystals, there's one thing that you see this down here, and you also see it in some other spots where you get down deep underground. But you have these halite salt crystals growing out of the walls, and some of them get to be, really big, like 12 inches or more, of these big curling sort of horns of these salt crystals that grow out of the walls. It's a substance called halite.
Yeah.
Let me stop sharing.
You're sharing it? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm sharing just the pictures of the beneath the step. Do you have a picture of the salt crystals?
I do.
Let me stop sharing then.
Okay. Yeah. Let me show some.
Real interesting, and they've knocked a lot of them off now. Like they're
Yeah, these are my pictures of the box and the shaft above it. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so there's that little balcony up there. Where is it on the? I think it's directly above us in this. Yeah, it's in our corner. Yeah. That's the balcony that you look down.
And I think that's the pyramid masonry all the way up at the top.
It is with the wood. Yeah, that's right. That's the Lebanese cedar wood. It's actually one of the first bits of organic material to ever be carbon dated was some of the wood from this pyramid.
Yeah, more box. There's Yusuf pointing stuff out.
Yeah,
this box had a lot of interesting features, like this line going across here.
Yeah, it has been reassembled too. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like these are reused. These are repurposed granite stones. It seems like.
Yeah. It does.
What? Yeah, in my opinion, about the carbon dating of the stones, I think this. Look, I think what suits the evidence of what we see here, and I have a whole video on it. I think what's below the ground is far more sophisticated than what's above the ground when you're at the step pyramid, and I think it's quite likely. Here's the halite. Yeah, I think it's likely that the step pyramid was built by Third Dynasty Egyptians. I just think they built it over a pre-existing subterranean structure and objects. And you can see how rough the pyramid masonry is up there. It is fairly primitive, and it is an evolution on the mastaba idea. But it seems to me that the stuff above the ground doesn't remotely match what's beneath the ground in this case. And even more interesting is what's deep beneath the ground here that we got into. But we'll get to that part of the story in a little bit here. But this is some of the tunnels.
This is the tunnel, and you can see these crystals here.
Yep, on the roof.
Coming out of the ceiling. I don't know how much detail people can see here, but this is some of them. I was trying to capture what it looks like overall, and then up close.
Yeah.
They grow in these interesting wavy. They're kind of curly. Like look at this. So it's they told us. Yusuf told us that these things were much longer, like they came down out of the ceiling and they had to break them off. They cleared them out of there to get them out of the way.
Yeah, he said they were like 18 inches long.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's another one. Here's another one that I found in the wall that I thought at first this was a fossil, but it's just one of those crystals that grew in a spring shape or a coil. And I found these very interesting, and I feel like this should help us understand how old these tunnels are, but I haven't been able to.
I would imagine that the growth of these depends on how much moisture is in the ground, because the limestone is porous.
Yep.
So if it rains on the surface and then the water is seeping down, into the deeper parts of the limestone, picking up and dissolving salts, that's what this is like the salt coming out and recrystallizing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So it would be difficult to figure out. I'm just thinking that it would be difficult to figure out how old it is because you would have to know what the rainfall was.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the thing. So in different places, the that halite grows at much different rates. You know, sometimes it
Yeah.
could grow. It could take 10,000 years to grow, 6 inches, or it could take a few hundred years. It sort of depends on that moisture content and how much is flowing down, into there. You do get salty glaze in some of the pyramids too, like the Red Pyramid in some of the chambers there. It sort of starts to form on some of the walls. And the Queen's Chamber in the Great Pyramid was allegedly had 6 inches of like a salty glaze. I don't know if it was specifically halite like this, but they cleaned that all off.
I do remember that. Yeah, they had to clean it out of the Queen's Chamber. Well, going back to the vase, this is one that I found very interesting.
It's incredible.
What is this for?
It's for chips and salsa and sour cream
and the beans around the outside.
Beans.
Exactly. Yes, it's the ideal multi-dip.
Hell yeah!
Build your own nachos.
I need one of these.
Yeah, me too. Well, this piece was documented by Jean-Pierre Loyer when he discovered. He was the guy, the French archaeologist who kind of cleared out and first discovered this cache of all of these jars below. This piece is quite well documented by him. There's drawings of it and stuff, and it's really cool to see this sort of stuff that's also then replicated in books from 100 years back.
Yeah.
Really cool. Oh, look at this.
So the reason I have this one included in these photos, not that it does have handles, which makes it difficult to lathe in a way, but I was fascinated by these gigantic crystal inclusions.
Yeah. Right.
Now a lot of them have crystal inclusions, but these are just
huge.
They're huge and very randomly distributed, and I feel like this would make any lathing process extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Like how do you lathe that without shattering the entire piece as your tool moves from the dark material to that crystalline material, and then you still end up with this polish. I don't know. I found this fascinating. Then this one, these pieces. Now I think
little marks on it too.
That looks like alabaster, right? So
yeah.
It's softer stone. But again, the question is what is it for?
So my point is that look, if you're turning this on a lathe, right? This is where the outside cut is going to be,
right?
And so you can't really lathe this portion.
Part,
that has to be machined off by something else doing this.
Yeah.
And then in order to get this scoop out, you'd have to have, and again, it's not directly across from another place where you could imagine a wheel could come in and, cut out.
Ancient ashtray.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Those are from some big Egyptian smokes. Those are some large cigars.
There's the
Schist
we're looking at the Schist disc. Yeah. I once again I'll just say this thing I was surprised at how large it is. That's why.
It's
I think both of our photos have hands in it, because all the ones I've looked at, there's no way to gauge its size. So when I got in there, I was like, man, this thing is the size. It's like a wheel rim. It's like 22 inches across.
Right.
Put that on your bins, bro.
Yeah. Acoustics. I've heard all sorts of theories about this thing, that it was spinning. Some people think it could have been used to weave rope, like to spin and like weave rope together, possibly. It's labeled as a decorative vase by the Egyptians, but I've heard lots of speculation about having acoustical. I don't know. Like there's a lot of people that have speculated on what some sort of functional use for this. But you say what it's for with a lot of these vases. I think a lot of them were just vases. I mean, they were definitely a lot of these vases were reused by the Egyptians as canopic vessels, and then they got around to making their own from things like alabaster. But
you think they're just decorative, is what you're saying? Like
some of them
this
have to be. Right?
This is just a decorative.
Maybe
like put some incense in there, and
some craftsman's done this, obviously. Yeah. Oh yeah,
oh my god,
the flint saber. Yeah, you boys in there.
Yeah. So Yusuf called this a saw. We were calling it a sword. You can see my fingers over there at the end, trying to show the scale.
It's one hell of a.
Yeah, it's
Clovis point. Jesus.
Right. Like Kyle said, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, he was like, once again, the ancient Egyptian people just showed up everybody else in the entire world. Like, you think you think you can make awesome flint stuff? Nope.
Oh, look at this.
This is one of the most amazing flint pieces we've ever seen. Yep. Let's see.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah,
there's
so
another
here's another one. Yeah, so this again, it's you just have to wonder what is the purpose of this.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold very much stuff. It's got a giant center hole, so it's like
right.
It seems.
Yeah, this piece. How do you turn this on a lathe?
Right.
It has no center.
Center. Yeah.
So it's like
you have to hold the.
It's like they can lathe all of this,
and
then they have to take it off and then drill the middle out.
Yeah. Progressively, and then it becomes really thin. And this is, a lot of this stuff is relatively thin, but there's some examples of like, Petrie said that there was some of these vases were no thicker than a stout playing card, like literally like cardboard, like thin cardboard thickness.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of photos of examples of vases where it's sort of a lot of piece missing, so you can kind of see how thin some of that material is, and it's just remarkable.
Yeah, you can kind of see the edge here.
Yeah,
this is thin.
Stroboscope.
Right.
My chat's on fire with all these suggestions about what this might be.
This is a joke. It's a joke ashtray.
Just put it in the middle. Yeah. Damn it.
There's another flint blade that was similar to the other one.
God, that is a fantastic piece. Look at
it's a giant light bulb holder. Yeah, that's something, isn't it? That's you.
And then
you guys think you can nap? We can nap.
Yeah. Look how thin it is. Yeah, and then it's so you can see the handle end or the tang, the part where they would mount something to it, is very similar on both of these. But like Kyle was saying, they look like single breaks.
This is a single cigarette ashtray.
Yeah.
But
this one's definitely an ashtray. Look at that. You can put a lot of smokes on that one.
But this is cool. They made these tiny ones too, and they're just.
I've got some examples of the tiny ones too.
Yeah. I've got some of those in here too. We'll get to them in a second.
But they also made these that are gigantic. Like there was the base of one that was made out of this same kind of stone.
Yeah.
In the bottom.
The step pyramid.
Down there. It was just giant, and we were trying to roll it over. We're like.
I have it. I have that video. Yeah, it's like this. It's literally like this, but it's like this thick, and it's just like the bottom section of one of these big vases. And you're like, and like it's just granite's like thud as we got it over, and you could see the flat base where it's all shaped. It was incredible to get to handle that stuff. Yeah, but it was funny. We talk about them being ashtrays, but legitimately, like in the museum, there's a bunch of the big vases that are in there. They put they've had to put plastic tops over the top of them because they're kind of just standing out. Some of them are outside of the cases because people would legitimately use them as ashtrays. But when you could smoke in the Egyptian Museum, people would this is a trash can or something. They're like ashing and throwing trash into these priceless ancient granite vases that they've dug up from these things. These big ones, like, oh, that's a trash can. No, it's not.
Of course.
They put like plastic over the top of them, stop people doing that. It's hilarious.
So this is another one that when we looked at it, I was just like, what is this for, and how would you do this? You can't lathe the interior of that at all.
No,
you can lathe the outside, but
I remember seeing that thing.
Yeah, you can't lathe the inside at all. So how would they make it? Drill it out? I don't know. And then again, what's it for? It doesn't have a bottom. I think it was hollow all the way through.
Yeah, it looks like it. You can kind of see the glass on that left quadrant. Yeah, and some of this stuff boggles the mind, and that's the other thing. Like, it wasn't just one type of vases, right? They found just tons of them in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And in fact, so much of them were broken. There's just pieces all over the place. There's literally warehouses full of this stuff that has never seen the light of day from where they've cleaned it out. And there was so much of it to this day. There's still just like piles and piles of these fragments and pieces of these things laying around down beneath the step pyramid.
Yeah, and they
just throwing them around. They don't care.
They just toss them around
it's like Jesus.
Yeah.
Find one of those pieces in any other country in the world, and the people are like, "Oh my God, this is
right." Yeah. And again, sorry for the quality of some of these photos. These things are in dark corners, unlit.
Yeah.
Behind glass. So that's why this one is a little weird. Let's see.
I got you got some more. I got a couple I want to share.
Go for
it.
These. Yeah.
All right.
I'll stop.
Let me go back to this thing. Yeah, so participants can now see your application. Okay, so I wanted to point out a couple of interesting vases as well, and then talk a little bit about like the two industries. I just want to kind of run through that real quick about why this is. I have the same picture of that same alabaster or crystal thing, and there was like these little shot glasses that go along with it too. I don't know if they'd since been moved, but little crystal shot glasses. They're all nice. So this is one of my favorite pieces. Sorry about the poor quality. Holy crap! I've got video of this thing. This is one of the best made vases you'll ever see. It's I've shown video of this and pictures of it before, but it literally stands on it's so well made that it's balanced. It almost sits on like the tip of an egg. This thing. Remember, we could see under it and take pictures of it.
Yeah, that's right.
These are poor pictures. But so here's an example of the thinness of some of this material. You can kind of see on the side there. And again, you talk about large crystal inclusions. This is difficult machining work under any circumstances. You have to, you've got like hard material in the crystals and slightly softer material maybe in the other stone. So, working this stuff, even if it's very hard stone, it can also be very brittle and be prone to shattering and blowing up. But somehow they work these things down to like incredible thinness and then also polish them to be utterly smooth. And then I believe this is the one that Yusuf points out that he says is made of corundum.
Oh, man.
Which is a 9 on the Mohs scale. There's at least one vase in there that I believe is made of corundum. Some people think corundum's looks like sapphire or something. There are other forms of corundum that it does look differently, but
there it is.
So I want to show you real quick the scale of this, because go back. Let's see. I think I have that one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to?
And then there's this one.
Stop sharing real quick.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, let me
stop. Let's
see here.
So there
okay,
it is.
so
There it
this
is down there.
cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's that the one you were showing with the corundum is here. This thing is large.
pretty
These
big.
they look small in pictures. I've always thought I was surprised by the largeness of these things when we actually were standing in person. All of them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are some really small ones, but in all the pictures I'm thinking like, okay, it's a vase, you're thinking of a bowl or something, but in some cases these things are big.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's like and
there's big plates like that as well. Yeah, it's a little padlock on it, right?
Yeah.
And
but anyway, I was trying to see if I had like these things. This is like 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
These things are huge. Is this the one you were showing just a minute ago?
Yep, I think that's the one that's broken on the side there. If you get real close to it,
it's close to a
little
foot
piece
tall.
missing. Yeah.
Anyway, that was all. I just wanted to try to get some scale to it.
Yeah. Let me
and
go back to this.
Yeah,
quick.
those cabinets are deep too, and the pieces are often far away from the glass, so it's very difficult to get, the kind of photos you want to get. You can't even get close, and there's a glare, and
Let me. Did I grab these little ones? These little tiny ones, because they also go down the other end. Let me find it real quick here.
I have them also with some scale.
I have one. Where is it? iPad. It's in here. So this is interesting. So just a quick note on the reuse, and then I do want to tell that story about the two industries. But so a lot of these were reused, and these are examples of the mud lids, the stoppers that they would build. They would put on top of these jars when they'd reuse them as canopic vessels. It's like I've always wondered, like if you can make these incredible vases and jars in all these different shapes and sizes, surely you could make some lids for them. But at least, so assuming they were inherited and the dynastic Egyptians couldn't actually make them like that, they would make lids like these. And in fact, there's still some of these lids down beneath the step pyramid just laying around as well. I have this thing here as well. I have those a couple of those examples of those guys, which is a weird, almost like an extrusion nozzle or something. Let me find it here. Here we go. I have one of these. I know my finger's in one of them, but I think this one here is really cool because you have the screw head.
Yep.
For reference, they scale down as well, right? You have these tiny little objects like these two vases of dolerite marble.
That one's cool. The one with the lid. Yeah.
Little machined lid
together.
Crazy.
Well, so it's like they're connected. Yeah, it's
but
weird.
That lid's broken.
It looks like it snapped off there.
Yeah.
Yeah, tiny little guys with. That's my finger on top of the display case. So.
So again, the question I have to ask every time is, what is this for? Like, what would you? do with a vase.
It's for a very small cigarette, Ross. That one. That's a tiny little doobie.
I have one of that. Let me show you these.
I think they must have held the ninja, smoke escape. You're like, right? You just need little tiny ones for that, for your little vial of alchemical smoke ninja escape.
And like that,
plan.
He was gone.
So yeah, there's a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Another. And then, let's see.
Yeah,
these are from the side. Yeah, it's amazing work, too.
Make that Johnson. Make that Johnson.
Dust around
just loud, just larger.
Yeah. And then I think I have one of this.
You can see the weave of the cotton. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that, and it's got the handles too. Like they've literally drilled like the little handles through it as well.
Yeah, it's the other piece that you had taken a picture of back there with the screw behind it.
Behind it.
There's
the connected
right
piece.
there,
Oh, it is. I see what you mean. Yeah, it's like a.
Yeah, that's two of them
like
connected together.
It's a tiny pipe. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So there were so many of these, and they're just, there's display cases scattered all over the museums, and you can find them in random spots. And every display case that had these in it had some kind of mind-boggling question.
Yeah.
Where you look at it and you're like, what is this, or how did they do that, or what are these even for? It in some ways it reminds me of like you said, Ben. They're just ornamental. They didn't necessarily had to have a reason to exist. It was just beautiful, that little tiny pot.
I think there's certainly a case to be made for that. There, so assuming if we go with the inherited version, like so, let's just for the sake of argument, chat, we can. And I see a few arguing in there about this stuff. It's great.
I need to get up. Pull your chat up.
Yeah, and there's definitely a case to be made that some of this stuff was ornamental or decorative, right? Because I think the statues fall into the same category. They're not functional. There's absolutely, to me, a class of like functional objects, and some of these objects, like a schist disc, like some of these weird shaped things, may well have been functional. But I think a lot of the other stuff probably served the purpose of just as of what they are, like a beautiful piece of artwork wrought from stone, and it is just decorative. I can't imagine I don't know. I can't envision any sort of functional purpose for a lot of those things, but I think there is evidence to suggest that there were other objects like that, and in particular the statues, things like that, not necessarily functional. The boxes, the slabs, the obelisks, on the other hand, I think they may have, and even the sites themselves, with the channeled blocks that run underneath them, the big bowls with piping connections to them. I think all that stuff strikes me as being functional one way or the other. I am just trying to find step pyramid. Here we go. There's an image here that I want to share of. I can show you like this step. What here? Maybe I'll do this. Let me share this app again. Where are we? Share. This. So let me show you some pictures of what that looked like. And so here's example. You guys are seeing this?
Yeah.
So these are examples of when Jean-Pierre Laurier first found all of these things beneath the step pyramid. They were kind of in just like a massively, dilapidated and all broken. But there were lots of like individual like finished pieces in there. But this is kind of the original what those tunnels look like and what it was. What the state of these things were when he dug down under there. So just no end of them. There's like whole heaps of them here in this this tunnel down there. Just tons of this stuff. It's just quite the treasure hoard. And you can actually see some of these are solid too. You've got ones like this, that like piece C here, to me is one that hasn't actually been hollowed out. It was solid, or it might even be a lid on top of that. I don't know, but I think you do have some. We have some examples of vases that aren't quite finished. So there's a lot of that type of thing. There's one other image that I had here.
Yeah,
where is it?
We had talked about this the other day. The possibility that these jars, the stoneware, was actually collected by the people who built the pyramid, or used the tunnels underneath as burials. and like brought them down there as part of their some kind of. In other words, they're reusing them. They find ancient artifacts and they're putting them down there with their dead, relatives or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the case. Vipercrest, thank you so much for that super chat. Cheers. This is the site that I mentioned earlier. So this was a burial that they carbon dated back to about 12 to 14,000 years old, and these are stone vessels that are in there. It's not a great shot. These are a similar type of stone vessel than the ones we see. They're not clay or anything. These are also stone vessels. And this burial site, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. It was flooded after they built the Aswan Dam. But pre-dynastic, like well and truly pre-dynastic. Yeah, God dang it, right? And so which leads me to like, okay, so how can we attribute these vases to the dynastic Egyptians? So let me go back quickly to this, and we'll walk through this because I think it's an important Bots Live podcast. Here we go. Step Pyramid and Jar. So I think it's an important story to let people know. So the main reason and the way that the mainstream attributes this is based pretty much on this. This is a scene on the wall. You can find this in the Saqqara Museum. So what you see here is guys using what is clearly like weighted objects, maybe flint, and they're spinning them, right? They're hollowing out vases. You can see this guy with his hand inside this big, large vase. There's guys working these tools. So they'll tell you that, all right, this explains, and this comes from the third dynasty, and it's all attributed to Imhotep, who was the famous guy, the guy from the Mummy movie, but maybe a little less dramatic in real life. But he was the polymath. This guy was a genius. He supposedly came up with the design for the step pyramid, and he also came up with the process for manufacturing these vases, which doesn't make a lot of sense because we know that a lot of these vases and stoneware that we find does go back to the first dynasty and beyond. But here's the difference. This is the kind of stuff that Imhotep was making. Yeah. So you when you look at what they found in third dynasty and after, you start to find two categories of stoneware. You have this type of stuff, and then you have the precision, incredible stone vases made of very hard stone. All of these types of things, we have examples like this. We have more examples like these. These are better examples, but look closely. Like you can still see wonky, not quite straight. These are made from alabaster, much softer stone than granite or schist or diorite or any of the other corundum crazy things that these vases were made from.
I'm not complaining. Those are awesome.
They're beautiful,
but they're clearly not the same level of precision,
symmetry, and precision.
Stone.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. I think that actually is a better case for explaining the evidence that we see and why we have stone vessels that go back all the way to the first dynasty, and I'm convinced long before that as well. These things would have been precious. I mean, if we had them, we've inherited them today, we treat them as precious. If the ancient Egyptians had found these, had inherited those stone objects, they would have treated them as precious. Probably why they buried 40 or 50,000 of them with a particular king down in these tunnels underneath the step pyramid. And then Imhotep must have been looking at them, and he developed the techniques that then enabled them to make these vases. And they continued to do that. Like right down, you go look at the canopic jars from King Tut's, the stuff that we found intact. I mean, a lot of that stuff's made from alabaster, and it's the results of generations and generations of craftsmen getting better and better at working this type of material. But nothing they ever did reflects the precision, the symmetry in that stonework of those early vases. And so to me, it's like, I think what we're looking at is a pretty clear situation of inheritance. I think it's a lot of these vases are much, much older, and the dynastic Egyptians couldn't make them.
Yeah.
So they tried to make these.
Yeah, the precision and the materials.
The materials, the hardness and the thinness. I mean, it's like, those jars, those big ones that we were looking at, they're incredibly thick. They weren't working them down to a 16th of an inch in thickness like they were some of these hard stones.
Yeah.
With crystal inclusions and everything. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, it's insane. Here's some other, I love these couple of pieces just randomly in the museum. Like this is a big piece that's got a cover over it, just a box, but then you have this one too, which is, this one wasn't, I couldn't find it on this occasion. This is a picture from 2016, but it's like four of the biggest damn tube drills I've seen into a big granite centerpiece of something. But
that was a cool jar too.
Yeah. This thing? Yeah. Another one with the little holes in it. And all the talk about
size of those
crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a
like
tiny one.
conglomerate.
I think this is tiny as well. This is a quite small vase. Yeah. Well, the one last thing maybe we can move on from the step pyramid, unless you guys want to talk more about it. But the one last thing I wanted to mention is like down in the maybe we'll tell the story about where we actually went. But as you go down, so where that box was, this big giant box that we were looking at, right? This is like level 4 or something, or 3 or 4. So around the corners of these, it's a truly labyrinthian. You go down steps and then passages branch out. They go left, they go right, they go all over the place. You could definitely get lost down there if you had full access to everything. But down in there, not only do you find all these fragments of vases and everything else, you also find lots of machined alabaster. So it wasn't, there was lots of other pieces of alabaster. Here's an example of a piece that has a tube drill on it, and I've got other pictures of like square corners, machining marks, and tube drills in alabaster. But not many people know this, but during the renovation period, they pulled up something like 60 or 70 tons worth of this stuff from those tunnels beneath the step pyramid. And it was all machined in chunks of alabaster. There's still a bunch of it down there that you can see. We found one big piece of alabaster with a tube drill in it down underneath it. But they brought up like 60 or 70 tons of this stuff, and they just bulldozed it behind the step pyramid.
Yeah, they buried it in a bunch of limestone and sand.
Yeah, they piled it all up behind the step pyramid and bulldozed it. And if you go around behind the step pyramid, you're like up on a it's like you're above the ground level, and you're basically walking over this tilled earth that
they built a terrace, basically.
Yeah, big terrace that's like 60 or 70 tons of this stuff is down buried beneath it. I don't know why they did that, but we used to be able to find little pieces like this, lots of like tube drills, and I've got some other really good shots of stuff from a previous trip there. But nowadays you can't find many pieces laying around out there, but it's all sort of buried in the ground, and we don't really know why. Kind of crazy.
We were kind of, walking around the slope, the edge of that terrace, and kind of, looking around just a little bit, checking out some alabaster, and then we got the old Ramesses II.
yeah, Ramesses II, drop tools. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, the one other thing that is probably worth telling people is that we did get to go down to where they were working in the step pyramid. So it got down to like the 5th level or something, and it's not just a matter of going down some stairs either. It's like a 40+ foot ladder that drops you down a shaft to like another level down below. And they didn't want us taking photos or video down there, but down there we found like giant alabaster boxes, like machined precision boxes.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, amazing, and I don't think they've ever been documented. As far as I know, like I haven't found anyone talking about the fact that there's big old, machined alabaster boxes down at in these depths below this level. And apparently there's other levels, but that's where they're actually still clearing stuff out. They're still excavating, so they don't really know what the extent of the catacombs and the labyrinth down there is.
Yeah, that's right. The archaeologist showed us another tunnel, right?
Yep.
That they still haven't dug out. Yeah.
Yep.
Level 6.
Will Sessions, $50. Thanks so much, Will. You guys remember Will from the Scablands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Will says hi, man. Cheers. Thanks, Will.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. But yeah, that's
speaking of that.
Yeah. Indeed. Yes.
Wanted to give a shout out to Arno. He gave us some badass beers from Belgium. We decided we were.
Are we taking a break?
No, I mean just a beer break.
Yeah,
a beer break.
We're gonna just open some beers.
The watcher is here.
Oh yeah.
Should I just get him inside?
Yeah.
All right, let me tell him.
Yes. So
yeah, appreciate it, buddy.
I'm not leaving. I'm just gonna get the.
All right. So yeah, Arno came back from Belgium. He brought us all like a fancy Belgian beer. This is the Orval. Apparently this one's brewed by monks or something. So I am not sure.
You got. This is Grimbergen.
All right.
Triple.
Well, cheers, everyone.
Yeah. Cheers. Russ drank his in the hotel. He didn't know the plan.
I didn't know there was a plan. Yeah. Sorry, I'm mosquito-proof for the children.
And welcome the watcher. But yeah, let's see. While you guys sort that out, let me share a couple. What topic could this? We've kind of like spent a bunch of time on the an hour talking about the step pyramid, but there's a billion other things that were of interest. Here we go.
Let's go here. So Menkaure. I never am sure exactly how to say this. Yusuf said Menkaure.
Menkaure.
Yeah. So, but this was a fascinating site for me. You can kind of see. So we discussed this on the audio show, but all this rubble is leftovers from this from these casing stones.
Yeah, all the granite. Yeah.
Right. And apparently, I mean, was this, was this supposed to have been cased all the way up in this granite, or was it just the bottom couple of levels? Or?
I thought it was like the bottom, I want to say like 12 or 15 stories. I mean, I don't think we really know. I think most people think it wasn't fully cased, but it was up higher than this, like maybe twice the height, which is weird because, the middle pyramid, Yusuf's certain that it was the bottom two cases of the middle pyramid were cased in granite. A lot of other people think it was just one. And with this one, I haven't, someone said something to me about it. And, Kyle. Kyle Delisle from Scablands.
Hey, buddy.
$20, mate.
Delil.
Nice. Kyle.
Cheers,
man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks.
Well,
for
there is casing stone rubble around this, but it's only granite, as far as I remember.
Yep.
Which means if there was some other kind of casing stone up higher, that rubble's all gone.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But anyway, so the reason I was really interested in this to go see this is because of this spot here.
Yep.
Near this entrance, and I've got better pictures, but I just want to this just shows you like you can see from far away. You can see all the nubs. And the interesting polygonal work here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the
very
next.
regular courses though, which is
they were.
It's not, in other words, it's different in that respect too.
Right? Yeah, they have lines, but I wonder if that's because they're matching the. I mean,
the core masonry.
Yeah. You could make non-straight courses and fit them into those blocks, but
yeah, this is a really good beer.
Is it?
Yeah.
This is tasty.
Was your beer good?
It is.
Do you remember?
It was good.
Okay.
Drinking alone
once
in hotel.
Once it got cold in that fridge, I came down to my room one night and polished it off. That was the only thing I had in there to drink. So more images from the side. I was trying to show scale here.
Yeah.
How big these courses are. So here's some people sitting, you can see half the course they're sitting on and then the course above. So these are large stones. Yeah. And they're pillowy, right? This is the term we're using.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of protrude. They protrude out. And there's negative, reverse nubs, I guess you might call them on some of these. Here's some normal nubs.
Yeah.
And then these, that looks like it's been broken off.
That's not a nub, bro.
These are not real nubs. Yeah, I've been told that I actually don't know what actual nubs are.
But you can see also it's similar here, right? These protrude more downward. There's even these hollows on the, this is the protrusion on the outside of the block. It's kind of hard to see here. But down underneath, you can see it's hollowed. It's got this hollow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm sure you'll get to it, but there's the scoop marks, particularly on that bottom layer, right? Maybe we'll get to the scoop marks in a minute because I think that's a real connection between that and the quarry. But yeah, this is where they were. This is that mystery of like, did they down tools? Did they only mean to like flatten this part of it out?
Right. So this is the right side of the flattened area that's near the entrance, right? So if you go back here, we're looking right here. I'm taking a picture looking up along this this right here. And so seeing this section here made me wonder if they intended to do this to the entire thing. So like Ben was saying, did they down tools and never come back? Right? So back to this. I'm standing and looking up on the right side here, and you can see how that their tools seem to not care where the blocks were, right? Yeah. It's like they're just it's almost like they're just scraping it away, and when they do it this way, it cleans up all the pillowiness of the rest of the blocks and makes this beautiful flat face with these very clean joins that in some cases have things like this.
You're going around a corner
where there's this little joint here, right?
Yeah, that's a really good observation. I've not seen that on that before, but yeah, and that's not easy to do. Like that must have been cut into that block on the bottom, right?
Yeah, like and again, remember that this whole thing is at the angle of the pyramid too. So you're talking about a very interesting.
Yeah, because Okay, the angle of the pyramid as it's sloping upward here. These blocks are not like the edges the sides of the blocks that we can't see that go back towards the core masonry of the pyramid. They're not
sloped.
What is it? Perpendicular. Yeah, they're not perpendicular.
No, they're horizontal. Yeah, they're like flat to the ground. Yeah. Which means that it's a complicated angle for cutting that thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some nubs at the bottom there, big ones. And see, again, to me, once I started seeing those tool marks, and I'll get back to this, but these look like they've been planed off.
Yeah, that's
by the same tool that was doing that work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. They get rid of these. And Kyle was talking about this too on the audio show. This may have been big nubs sticking out, and they remove them.
They can get them out of the way.
Just scoop them off because they're in the way for the rest of the work. Yeah. So here's the left side of that. Now you can see some very faint inscriptions here. Which is interesting. But this is what I'm really interested in here is this work in general, where they were just flattening this stuff. Now they chose not to do these courses up here. They started with this course. Yeah, I'm wondering if they actually did this flattening before they put those other courses on, because we had talked about this, that if you're going to build a door in the way that they've been described on the exteriors, that they had some kind of door that had a hinge that was able to be opened or whatever, the block was able to rotate in some way to allow entry. Right. You wouldn't want to have pillowy blocks there when you're trying to make that very fine connection with that door. It's supposed to, look like a normal block. So you would have to flatten it like if you were planning to flatten the whole surface, go ahead and flatten this part, make the door. Yep. But you're still continuing the courses going up. Yep. This is just another job. You know what's interesting is that you remember at the back of this pyramid there's a section just like this as well. Yes. So, and there doesn't seem to be an entrance or a door. There's a door in there. Right. It could be. There might be. There is a door in there. So here's an example. Also, this is a notch, not a nub, on this block. Yeah, that is a notch in there. Yep. Yeah. So more and more, Kyle and I are looking at these as being lifting things. Or maybe not lifting the whole stone, but in adjusting something to use it to maneuver the stone. That may not be the case all the time, but in a lot of cases, I think that's what it was. And then with these ones where you're like you can't use that to lift anything, I think they've just been chopped off. It seems like it. Yeah. Well, yeah. In the antechamber of the Great Pyramid, there's one of the blocks that's. When you go in... Yep, there's a nub in there. There's that flat block that's like separated from the wall, and it looks, what they call a portcullis, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It has a nub on it that's been flattened. Yep. But the underside of it is very flat and perpendicular to the surface of the stone. Okay. So it could be used for something to prop it up. Like if that whole block was slid up... Yeah. You could... put something in there to like hold it in place. I do have photos. It's a very low profile. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I have photos of that thing in that antechamber. But yeah, there's some notches here. Go back to the one before that. So you can't quite see it, but did you get photos of the scoop marks at the bottom where they've got that material removal? I think one of the first ones had it. So they're along the bottom line of that other photo where Professor was sitting down. Yeah, they're kind of there, and that next one maybe on the bottom right. Yeah. So see here, like on the bottom right, you have this similar scoop mark, and on the left side, they're a little faint and hard to see, but on this bottom line, it seems to be the same type of these scooping marks that you get at the quarry. And Yusuf pointed this out, that, and I know I've got some footage of it and stuff too. Yeah, so it's the same thing you see at the granite quarry in Aswan. It's just like whatever they were using some tool to scoop that granite. And we have some interesting, real interesting. You guys made some real interesting observations about the angles of the scoop marks in the quarry at Aswan. But it seems like that tool was here. We'll stay on this. We'll get there. Yeah. I think I'm working my way there. Okay. Yeah, so you're right. There is anomalous or interesting scoops on these. The reason I took these pictures is because I was trying to show how clean the inside edges of these blocks are. Some of them you can see, like this one. Yep. It's missing the next block. it's not as clear in this photograph as it was when we were there, but this block, for example, the front of it's all pillowy and sort of not finished, but this is a finished edge that was meant to be seated against another block. I've got a couple more.
That's a great observation too. Yeah, there on the left here.
And look how it's...
Got one right there.
Look at this.
Yeah, and...
Oops. Yeah. And then look how it's
Yep.
fitted to this core masonry.
Oh wow, yeah, that's actually really cool. I didn't notice that. It's shaped to fit the weird structure of that core masonry.
So that made me wonder if this granite casing is actually not part of the original project, or somehow this core masonry got at least a little bit eroded before they put this in there.
That's a good point, because you see the same thing in the Valley Temple, right?
Right.
I'm kicking myself because I've been planning to get some photographs of the erosion patterns on our native, natural limestone here in the area.
Yep.
I was on the way to the studio the week after we got back, and I was going through I look over on the right. There's a wall, and it's eroded, and it looks very similar to some of the erosion patterns I saw. And I was like, oh man, I should get a picture. But then I was like, well, this is a road cut. This is maybe 50 years old. I don't know. I would have to look up county records to see when they last came through here. But that is it's still an interesting point. Now I don't know what the hardness of that limestone is, but if it only took 50 years for that limestone to go from a straight wall that they cut to this wavy profile of erosion with the amount of rainfall we get, that's good data. Like if they were building this structure and then 50 years later it's like eroding away before they'd finished it.
Yeah.
Then this could be the same builders. The Valley Temple with its granite casing could be the same builders as the ones who put the core masonry of the Valley Temple there.
Yeah, if there was like serious rainfall in between the two projects, it could be.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you give it a couple of generations, like, they're just like, well, we need to case this in something harder.
Yeah, it's falling apart. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Sebastian. Sebastian says hi in the chat. He super chatted me.
Hey.
Thanks, Sebastian. And also Vipercrest, thank you again, man. Cheers for that super
What's up,
chat.
Sebastian? Hey, nice footage in Ben's latest video there, Sebastian.
Yeah.
And,
And,
Sebastian.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the super chats going to Ben.
Sorry I got in your way, Sebastian.
We will split the super chats. We're good.
All right. This is just a picture of the rubble around the outside. One of the piles of rubble. You can see flat faces in here that I think were inside faces. These were meant to sit against another block.
Yep.
So
just quarry rubble.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quarry rubble. People removing the granite, but again, it's just granite. There isn't any, at least not that I saw. Maybe there is somewhere, or maybe it's been cleaned away.
Either.
Rubble of Tura or any other type of stone that might have cased the pyramid. So I don't know. All right, this is the what would you call this? The
Mortuary Temple.
Pyramid Temple.
Yeah,
the Mortuary Temple or Pyramid Temple.
Yeah. Of the Menkaure pyramid.
Yep.
So again, we've come around the corner. Like if you're looking at the face of it, we're going around the left side.
This is live.
And again, you can see how heavily eroded the top of this is.
Yeah.
I mean,
assuming that the lower part was probably buried in sand.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of this is probably buried. But what is what is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Now this might be quarrying attempts, but it seems to be in a weird spot for somebody who's trying to break up that stone. You think they would put it like down here? I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know what this is. Strange.
It is, and it's so this has been fascinating to me lately. The erosion that we see. So it's not just the famous case of erosion on the Giza Plateau, right? Is the walls of the Sphinx enclosure, and everyone likes to talk about that. But you see tremendous erosion in these structures, not just this pyramid temple, but what's left of the middle pyramid complex. Incredible erosion in these limestone blocks. Now, we did a Q&A. So Randall Carlson was really kind enough to spend some time with the tour group after we got back from Egypt, and we sat down and did a Q&A. And I recorded it. I'm going to make it a Patreon video and share it with those tour participants, and maybe it'll come out on the Cosmography channel, or in some time I'll put it up on my channel. But Randall got into a lot of the studies that have been done, particularly things going back to like the 50s and 60s, even earlier, that specifically looked at rates of limestone erosion under different circumstances. So, coastal erosion where you've got it immersed in water, you've got flowing water going over the top of it, you have other examples of with heavy rainfall. And so there's been some experiments done to look at how long does it take to actually create erosion on limestone like this in different circumstances. Yeah. And I think that my takeaway from that was like any way you cut it, that type of erosion it's almost impossible to think that stuff that could happen within the timeframes of the Orthodox story. So 3,500, 4,000 years ago. Like it seems like you're talking tens of thousands of years to get to that level of erosion on a lot of this limestone, based on a lot of the studies that have been done looking specifically at limestone erosion.
I think the other thing he was pointing out, it seemed to be, was that he thinks it's a combination of water and sand.
Yep.
Like, in other words, a combination of, like, you get some erosion during wet periods and then erosion during arid periods, and that's why they have this very distinctive look.
Yeah. And the other thing he said was, like, he thinks there was sheet floods involved, and it may not have been specifically rainfall, but actually water pouring over the top of this surface. So, and the other, you got other possibilities, things like acid rain or black rain, but then you've got to go back to periods where you have a precipitating event that creates that, which is either impacts or volcanism. And in both cases, like, you have to go back well before the dynastic Egyptian civilization to find periods where that could happen. Younger Dryas, Cosmic Incap, perhaps, or other examples of I don't know when there was volcanism that might have affected that area. But I'm really interested in learning a bit more about the limestone erosion, because that example, it's crazy. Like, it's ridiculous. And as you guys said, you see that sort of erosion in the hills around where you live, right? And you want to take...
Yeah, I wish we had some example photos.
We'll get some.
We'll get some, yeah. But yeah, you're right. And Randall said we need to get to limestone quarries, old ones in Egypt, to look at them to do some comparisons. And we didn't do that. We went to granite quarries.
The other thing is that the Sphinx enclosure erosion is completely different.
It is.
This erosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like totally vertical.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very different. So no matter which way, no matter what your argument is, these are two different processes.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I didn't see that type of erosion anywhere else that we went.
The Sphinx
enclosure erosion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was very interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, I think there was some of it on the distant cliff walls outside of the Nile, but not much. I mean, but you could see some of those vertical cracks out there. But okay, so again, now we're looking at where that mortuary temple butts up against the casing stones of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And these stones aren't smoothed off. So Kyle and I have been talking back and forth, like, again, if the builders of this, now you can see this has been scooped, or it has this scoop feature. Some of these do around here. Like, you can, and zooming out, you can see interesting patterns like this here. There's a strange square right here. Like, it looks like, they were just facing these roughly. There's a scoop.
Yep.
Right all along here. You can see it just kind of like they faced them roughly. Here's a line of nubs. It's interesting that most of the big nubs you see on this, I noticed, are on this top layer.
Right.
All the way on the other side too. The ones that really stand out are mostly up here.
So this bottom part may have been faced a little bit.
Yeah, like they were facing this or whatever, but this is
roughly,
the one,
But
yeah, very roughly. But so did they? The question is, did they intend to flatten it out very nice, like they did by the entrance over there and on the other side?
Don't know.
And did they down tools and never come back? And then, which would imply that they didn't build this or somebody later did this, and they. Right, and they built it against the unfinished, unsmooth, pillowy facing stones.
It's weird because they finished the other faces, like the sides of these blocks, right? They had to do that to get them in where they were, but and it to me it's like they didn't care, they didn't need to.
Yeah,
to make
it's not necessary.
Make them nice and smooth. But then in the middle pyramid, the casing blocks are smooth, like they finished it all, like they're not pillowy. This is the only one that's like pillowy like this, although. I'm sure you'll get there. We have almost the same exact thing in the Assyrian.
Yes, that's right.
So. If you make the argument that this is older than this, then you can't make the same argument that this structure on the other pyramids is older than the. You see what I'm saying?
Yep,
like
absolutely.
To me, I look at this like if you're planning on facing all of this flat, then it doesn't matter. The less facing you need to do, fine. They can easily work the limestone against this rough edge.
Yeah.
And it even in some cases might lock this wall in
Yeah,
a little
that's right.
better because you've got this.
It's not sitting up against a flat face.
It's not against a flat face that it can slide on
Yep.
or adjust. It's actually fixed. It's being held by the limestone's going in and out of these contours, so it's fitted. And then if you went back and faced it, and they faced this whole thing, like if they plan to encase this in granite like they did the other ones, you would never notice it. What you would notice if there was granite on the outside of this is that all the joins went around corners. Because if they put the granite up and then they faced them both off, it would look like every block went around a corner.
Yeah, which seems to be how they did that technique in places like the Valley Temple.
Yeah, and I agree with that assessment that you want to lock this structure into this one, and so trying to build it against a flat face is not a good idea because it won't be locked in. There are other ways to lock it in, but this is one of them, right? You could. If you were all original builders, I would just make the first limestone core block of this structure start from the core block of the pyramid and come out, and then seat the granite casing against it.
Yeah,
so they didn't do that. It's actually locked in, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
this goes get in there through the casing.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
although that might be residue on that granite block there, or just chunks of limestone falling all over it. Interesting. But you have this stuff in that structure too, right?
Yeah. So, yes.
Coming in.
I have no idea.
Like the scoops you were talking about, the patterning of the blocks on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially that's like a prep for other things that are going to be put in against those blocks to hold them, sort of encase them, socket them the same way.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Can you hear him?
Okay. Yeah, soft, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so back to the picture here. On the inside of that mortuary temple, we found these.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the facing of these, initially that's what I noticed, was how they're interestingly faced.
Yeah, like there's inset or something.
Yes, there's this, they didn't do the edges. They just nicely faced the inside of the block and left this rough edge around all of them in a very interesting way. And we saw this... Was it
in the Queen's Chamber?
Queen's Chamber, around the entry of the door, there was the same feature.
You guys can't hear? What? Sorry, chat's saying they can't hear. You guys can hear me now, right?
We can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, and then... Okay, maybe they're just saying they couldn't hear the watcher loud, but I think I don't think anything's changed here. So
his mic's not on yet. I can't really turn it on without doing a bunch of...
Okay, it's all right. Yeah. Okay.
That's what you get for coming late, buddy. Yeah.
Get up on the mic. It's all good.
His mic is not working. He'll have to,
Yeah, we had headphones either.
So anyway, these were interesting, and I don't know. This is not the same kind of granite as what's facing the...
No.
Right, this is granodiorite. This is like the stuff that the Serapeum boxes are made of.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, granodiorite, stuff like that.
Yeah, granodiorite, a different kind of stone. Still fine joins, large blocks. These may be nubs down here that are gone removed. Mostly.
Yep.
Yeah. But again, and it was tough to get a good photo of this, but in multiple places you could see that these blocks were set and formed. The backs of them are formed against the already eroded limestone. Or maybe it was just a pillowy. Now that we're talking about it, it could have just been that the limestone was just pillowy and they didn't face it at the time. I don't know, but it looks like they were fitted to the erosion, like how this sticks way out.
I see masonry marks here. This is hammer and chisel marks. It looks like.
Yep.
All these lines going down here.
Thanks, Nick. Cheers.
Yeah. So if this is fit against an already degraded original limestone wall, then it implies that this is much later, or at least somewhat later, than this.
Yeah, and it's the same case in the Valley Temple, like that, and that's what Robert Schock sort of looked at too, and he seemed to think that the granite was fitted to the already eroded limestone,
right,
on that structure, which is, how ancient is it then? Like how long did that thing have to be standing to get the erosion, and then at what point, if it was it even the dynastics or before dynastics, Or was it another period that they went and fitted a lot of granite to this stuff to case it?
Right.
It's kind of hard to say.
Right. So in the end, let me flash through a bunch of photos here. In the end, the questions I have here are first about this part right here. Did they intend to do this to the whole thing?
Mm.
And if they did and they never got around to it, then this spot where the temple meets this, it implies that somebody else did this, that somebody else built this. Because if those workers did intend to do this to the whole thing, are they building the mortuary temple and not facing the? Maybe they did.
Yeah.
You know, I guess they could be building this structure and not facing this stuff because they intend to do it at the end of everything and they never got around to it.
Well, they're going to case that in granite too. It just, maybe.
Yeah. Do you know if there were granite casing stones on the outside of this at all?
I don't.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, so there definitely were on the structure that was at the in the middle pyramid, but I don't know about this one.
Right.
Although we have it on the inside. So
what I'm saying is this at least looks like 2 stages and possibly 3 stages of construction with periods enough time in between each stage for erosion to take place.
Yeah, which is silly.
Right. Because then you have these fitted to erosion of this structure.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, these are a real mystery. Those ones there are just like a super mystery to me. Like that, where these blocks and what their purpose was. Maybe this whole thing was lined, but then you have these big protrusions that seem to be.
Yeah. This is the new version of nubs. This is the new nub version. This is version nubs 2.0.
Nubs
it's like,
2.0.
look, we can just leave this whole thing and then we can pry on it wherever we want instead of just at the nub that Jots left on there. Jots.
Yeah. Okay, so moving from there, let's go to let's look at some granite real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to look at the large form crystals.
I do want to point this out.
Let's take granite diorite or diorite.
This is granite diorite,
straight diorite or something.
Yeah, of the same kind of those blocks. Now this is in the Valley Temple.
Yep.
But this is the kind of rock that we were just looking at, facing the inside of the Menkaure, and it's just this random one of these in the Valley Temple at the bottom.
Super famous.
So
it doesn't. One.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a repair because it's load bearing, right? You couldn't have moved this out and replaced it unless it's just a plate. It could be a veneer. I don't know.
No, I think it's a block.
Yeah. All right, and I do want to show people some close-ups of the granite here. So, this is a join in the Valley Temple, right?
And
there's a horizontal here and a vertical.
Yeah.
They're very difficult to see. Number one, because they're so incredibly thin, but also because this granite is decomposing. It's falling apart, which I want to know how long that takes for this granite to do that.
Right, because that's the point people should remember, that it looks rough now, but this was all originally like just glassy smooth. There's a few spots and examples of where you still have that final polish on the temple, but you've kind of had this. What did Randall call ablation, or something's happened to the surface of the granite where it starts to flake off on the surface? And again, that's a really good question. Is like, how long does that take?
Right.
On granite,
Right. How long does it take? Now this I've been pointing out that this is coarse grain granite, so you can see the grain size.
Yeah, huge chunks.
In here they're a little smaller than my fingernail in general. But you could, in some places where there were blocks laying around that were decomposing, you could just reach out and grab a piece and break off a little cube of crystal.
Yeah.
Just pop it right off there because the granite's falling apart. In some cases, not always.
Yeah.
Here's a close-up of another join.
One. Yeah.
This one's going around a corner, so this is an outside corner. And you can see how it's decomposing here. I don't have fingers in here to show you the scale size, but these grains are relatively big.
Yep.
Let's see, what else have I got here? Yeah, okay, here's one. This is a decomposing block. I actually did. I think this might have been at Tanis.
This looks like Tanis, just the background.
But I was able to on this particular block. I reached out and grabbed a piece and just popped it off there. One of these little quartz pieces, because you can just rub it and these pieces start falling off. So how long does that take this granite to
get to that shape?
To get to this
1 meter of oblation every 10 million years, depending on Depending on weather
Variability
patterns. That's the
on
watch.
weather.
Thanks, Watcher.
Thanks, there we go. We've got a meter per every 10 million years. So that's a centimeter of ablation in what? 10,000 years? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
100. What's a million divided by?
Oh, now we got to
100?
do Watcher math.
That would be
It's 10
100,000 years.
100,000.
Well, a
millimeter.
hundred. So, yeah, 100.
Centimeters, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so
100,000 years per centimeter. Yeah, so you're right.
But
No,
it also
no.
depends.
1 meter per million years. Is that what he said?
10 million.
Oh, 10 million.
Giant flood.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you are talking like
But
100,000 years for a centimeter. Far out. Okay.
And those figures are based on the deterioration
All right.
of granite domes and state capitals, by the way.
So now that we've looked at some granite, we've looked at the consistency of the granite. Let's go to the go to the quarry. So now the reason I picked these out because of the witness marks, the tool marks. Now you see this. It's going in this direction in some of these pits.
Yeah.
Right, they're going around. Which I don't know. I'm trying to imagine somebody digging this by hand, with the diorite pounding stone like they talk about. And I feel like if that was the case, then if there were any witness marks, they should be going down the hole, not around it. I don't know.
We have some that go down, like the ones that the test pits on the side of the obelisk. They seem to go down.
Right.
But you're right. That does seem to have like a horizontal aspect to the scoops. You see the scoop marks everywhere here in the granite, though. Scoop,
right.
Scoop.
So, and again, this is the granite. This is the same granite we were just looking at.
All granite.
This is this rose or pink Aswan granite. It's in Upper Egypt, which is down south. It just comes. You can see it sticking up out of the ground everywhere, out of the Nile. There's islands made of it.
Yeah. In
the Nile River. Beautiful stuff.
I got some 3D scans of this stuff we can pull up maybe.
Yeah, so these are just. Oh yeah, we'll look at some of Ben's scans. So these are interesting patterns, work patterns in the quarry. All these little squares in this sort of in this set here. It's like it seems to be in this.
Yeah,
I don't know what to call it.
Well, it's like I think it's almost they've scooped under it. There was an object that they snapped off on top. If you go back, I think it's like this. This might be a line here in between. Like this is
right
where they had removed something. This is so. If you imagine these walls on either side of this stuff, they had to go down, and then they maybe carved underneath something that was attached to this, and then they snap it off.
I see. Yeah, this is the snap point right here.
Maybe, yeah.
and this one
because we see that process in action in the one that we got right under. Like there's that piece of stone where they were carving underneath it.
Yes.
Yeah. And scoop.
Now there's no one for scale here, but some of these were pretty big, wide. I mean, like
Yeah.
So
well, a lot of them seem consistent too. There may be some of different widths, but that's one of the things I want to do with the scans that I took, particularly around the piece of the block. They did seem to be pretty consistent. I know from previous trips, a guy scanned them and said that they were all roughly around like 51 centimeters wide, like all the scoop marks that he'd seen. So
yeah,
which is interesting.
That's old Egypt squat right there.
This is cop in the Egypt squat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is he's prepping to scan.
Prepping to scan, yes. I am, yes. I was walking around with my iPad everywhere. Yeah.
The scan stance. There's Sebastian.
That's Sebastian, yep. And Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron. Oh. Okay, so I think these are
quarry
I put
marks.
this in there because these are more modern quarry marks.
They are.
Right. So these would be made with
100%
iron tools possibly, and then they would jam wedges in there,
wet the wood,
wet the wedges, and then wait, and it would split the rock.
Well, yeah, they'd get all the pressure, and then they'd start hammering into another wedge with iron or another flint piece or whatever.
Right. So these were probably breaking something off in this direction, right? Whatever they took, I don't know, but that's what it looks like to me. Yeah. Now you can see lines of those. Yeah,
that's modern. That's more modern. Well, modern we say, but that's a technique that's more or less been in place. Like we have evidence for the dynastic Egyptians doing that shit, Like that's when they were quarrying when Ramses was quarrying from the middle pyramid. That's how he was doing it, using this technique. That's the funny thing too. It's like it's not like they were, Ramses was doing the pounding stone thing to get his rock out. Like he was doing this wood splitting.
They're doing this, and that's what I'm saying.
That's
so you see these aren't scoop marks. They don't look anywhere near the same. There's no scooping or patterns or anything on this. If all of these quarry lines here were to break off this thing,
Egyptian Johnson is like, I've been on the nubbing job, now I'm on the scooping job. Chat.
Chat's great.
Egyptian Johnson.
The Egyptian Johns.
Egypt Giants.
Yeah, and there's the unfinished obelisk. So these test pits
right.
here.
So again, this looks like it could have been an obelisk work, right? I don't know, but they snap this thing off here, and now you've got, if there was a big square of stone up here, you have this first step to carving down your granite obelisk. But this unfinished obelisk, it doesn't have any of that.
No.
There's none of that shit at the edges here. There's just these
scoop marks,
crazy troughs. And again, this pattern is the same as what we saw over here.
Yep.
Okay. Now there's this crack, and this does have there is some quarrying
They
here.
tried to quarry it later, yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested in why, if this has been laying here for a long time, why none of these quarry people ever took it. Because you see them quarrying granite all over Egypt. So why wasn't this ever taken?
They tried. There was pieces of it. Like there are like little there are some holes in it, but yeah, I'm not sure why it never got taken. But there is evidence that they tried. Like they started to quarry it and then they either didn't or I don't know.
Yeah,
but there's definitely like a dash line in it somewhere where they were going to try and quarry.
Yeah, there is. I have a picture of it. We'll get to. But I have all these pictures included just because there's just so many interesting features that you can see from all these different angles. Like, what are these? We see these on the boxes in the in the Serapeum, right? I feel like these are very similar to those scoops in the boxes. These are rougher.
Emptying out cracks and stuff so they can't keep cracking.
So here's more random areas in the quarry scooping. But okay.
Just the scooping to the left of this is great. I got this whole thing scanned over here, I think.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, look at this. It's like
very interesting.
It's like some this is a great shot. This it's like a uniform. You can just see how something's been digging it. Yeah.
Right. It's not a bunch of Johnsons with diorite pounding stones. This is the same tool edge.
Yeah.
And it's square. Like, why, if you're just using a pounding stone, why are you making squares?
Square,
all over
right?
It's
Yeah, that's
a lot of work.
You'd be
right. Why are you making all these squares?
Look.
You can actually see them if you look carefully. You see that this, even though it's much smoother, these squares are all over the top of this thing.
Yeah.
See, this area of the unfinished obelisk was done by a non-Johnson.
That's right.
The guy that was like, they get a new Johnson on the job, and they're like, okay, just start doing what I'm doing here, and then he's like, rah, rah, rah. And they're like, no.
Dang it, Jats.
And then they get the guy does the rest of this, and then finally,
non-Johns comes in, and then
he was sick that day, and non-Johns finishes this. But yeah, this is obviously, there's no need to be careful here, right? That's clear.
Yeah.
But obviously, they were trying to be very careful with the tool here, and in some cases, they weren't as careful, or maybe they had to get rid of some bad materials here.
Yeah, it might have been like emptying cracks. Like that's the same process that happened with the Serapeum boxes. Like they had to. It seemed important that these things were solid, so they would empty out the cracks, and that's why you end up with the scoop marks on those boxes.
Yeah. And again, I'll point out these are what quarry marks look like of people quarrying with the traditional chisel and then wooden wedges and water and stuff like that. And that you don't see any of these patterns here. Here's another line of them.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody decided they wanted to take this piece, whatever was next to this line here. But this is totally different.
Yeah, there's something else going on.
Yeah, and it goes. These lines, in some cases, you can see like there will be a scoop here, and then the line follows, and it's the same width, and it goes all the way down the trough. And in some cases, you can see it go around the bottom and then up the side of the obelisk.
Yeah,
like you can see
and it actually progressed down into these holes on the side. I actually have scans of like the side of this and the hole that goes right down next to it, the test pit. There's another test pit there. Yeah, that goes down quite a ways. That goes down like 20 feet or something. But there's
Let's see some of those scans.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll pull them up.
I
get
you're right. And I was just going to say that the thing that cracks me up about this too is the indoctrination that you're forced to endure when you go to the quarry, because it's a fascinating place to watch, to sit down and watch, to visit. But everyone that goes in there is forced to. It's the only place they seem to do this. They sit you down in like a hot room. They've got one little TV that works, and they put it on as like a 10-minute video of like Zahi and crew explaining how it was all done with pounding stones. Like they're literally like, it was pounding stones and time and effort, and they really wanted to do it. Like everyone was behind the project, and then they just
they work for beer, right?
Beer and blankets. Beer and blankets.
Beer and blankets is what we learned.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Like, and
that was a great group, because Zahi comes on the TV and everybody's like,
this is mine is like, wait, they really like Zahi.
Yeah.
They have no idea. This might be loud.
Being sarcastic.
Yeah.
All right. I think Kyle has the best. I'm finishing up here on what I was getting at with all these scoop. This starts with the Menkaure pyramid and those facing blocks and the patterns on those, and it goes to here. We're looking at these scoop marks.
Yep.
We're looking at these scoop marks. These are alongside the other worked thing that we were actually
you get right in here and go under. I think that's me there actually.
Yeah, this is Ben scanning down in the hole.
Scanning squat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's in the Egyptian scanning squat. There we are crawling through it. And we made some observations about these patterns that I think Kyle has the best photo of that we'll get to in a minute here. This is underneath. I crawled down in there and took some pictures. Tried to take pictures of what it looks like underneath this big block of stone.
This is my favorite part, because this is underneath. And now bear in mind, with the pounding stone idea, like a lot of it, like they'll show you, it's all this vertical pounding. This is this sort of pounding and this sort of pounding.
Right.
You got to horizontal or throwing the damn ball up in the air, like
exactly.
Good luck. Exactly. Do it for an hour. Get back to me. Tell me how you feel.
Yeah. And the point about that is that it takes so much time to move away a little bit of stone that this work here, if this is the lowest point that you need, this little ridge line, this dip,
superfluous.
Just this one dip is going to take so much time.
Yeah.
And then to do another one here is going to take so much time.
We achieved this in just a few days.
Reason to do that. So that's obviously not the tool that was being used.
Yeah, that's a great point. That there's all this extra work.
Well,
if this is the lowest you need to get, then why did you dig all the way down to this?
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like it was easy for them, and then. Right, and you have the other evidence of that in things like overcuts on statues and stuff like that. Because it's I just dropped the clip in for chat. Like the as you can see here, we achieved this in only a few days. Like it's the one time they tried to cut granite with a saw, and they did the experiment like a grinding saw where they're putting sand into it. And there's a moment where the guy goes, "As you can see here, we achieved this over just a few days." And it's like it's a cut this deep. Like they've been sawing in this cut for days. And they made about 2 inches of progress through granite, like just pouring sand with this big, thick copper bar, and these poor two Egyptian punters like, Jesus, why are it's not getting paid enough to do this.
So they made 5-inch overcuts in basalt doing that, right?
Right.
Well,
it only takes a couple of
just
days.
like little overcuts. You see them in the obelisks at Karnak. We saw them on statues. You see them in the armpits of statues. You don't make overcuts in this material if you're doing things by hand, because it would take you hours and hours, if not days, to make them. Like, oh shit, like that's a long oh shit, as opposed to just like touching it up with some tool that's able to remove the stone in some simple fashion, which is what we're seeing here. Did you want to talk about the angle on these lines?
Yeah, this is the last bit I was going to get to. Is this?
This is it. This is really cool.
So the point is, in this photo, you can see that these right here are at this angle. They're not going straight down. So that is slightly out of the camera view here. These are the ones that we were just looking at that are actually going down at this angle, and they start to straighten as you get here, and then they're going straight down, and then once again over here they're tilted.
Right.
Yeah.
So what it looks like, and it's difficult to show this, but what it looks like is that you had some kind of tool that was on an articulated arm that could move, like think of a backhoe, but it could also do this, turn this way. Yeah. Right. It can scoop out but it can also turn its bucket this way.
Yeah, it's as if the tool was like planted here, or you had like it wasn't moved. So you're scooping straight down here, and then as you extend out, the angle's shifting.
So,
yeah, that
like
right in front of you,
like
you're doing it like this,
Right.
and then as you get out farther, you're trying to make a
doing
flat
like
wall,
this.
so you're doing this. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And then you would move the tool, move whatever it was,
Yep.
and then start flat again.
Beep beep beep.
Yeah.
And all right, now we'll dig from here. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. And I love
Right?
thinking about that with what the Chris Dunn's depiction of what he thinks that tool might look like, which was
Yes.
some tool basically on an articulated arm that was
Right.
able to sort of scoop that granite out somehow. And this
Yeah.
almost this to me looks. It's I don't know how else to explain it. It's like, Johnson, you need to pound on an angle. Like you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
doesn't make sense. But it does make sense if you consider that the whatever was digging this was parked here on an articulated arm, and as it just reaching out here, eventually, the angle changes. It's exactly what I have a backhoe here. It's the exact same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
in my
right here, like straight, then it angles.
the
out.
way I view it is I don't care that the arm articulates and goes under the boulder that Russ is standing on in this photo.
Right.
The point is that, like, to me, I would imagine the machine positioned over here, reaching out this way.
Oh, okay.
And when it's reaching out to the right,
That's also it, yeah.
when it's way out there, like this, it's going straight. And as this thing starts to bend, then the angle changes.
The angle changes.
When you get closer to yourself, so then
Yeah.
you have to back
I
up.
get it. Yeah, yeah.
go straight again, and
All right,
as it
yeah.
moves into you,
Okay.
it's turning. That's the way I
that
see
makes plenty of sense too. Yeah. Either way.
As you
yeah,
can
you're
see
probably
here,
right.
we
That makes a lot
achieved
of
this
sense.
in
it.
just
But yeah,
a few
obviously
days.
this tool was able to go down and then go under
under
the
the
rock.
Under the
and
rock.
come up. Yeah,
That's
so
why I was thinking it was digging from this way, because that
it
was
could be. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just obviously looks like there are two different positions here, because you see the same pattern on this side as you see it over here that extends down past where you can't see. But
yeah.
yeah, I thought that was a good observation.
All right, so final bit here on this scooping stuff.
Yeah.
One more section. We'll go to the Assyrian.
Yeah.
Got plenty of great photos of the Assyrian, but there's one section that was really interesting to me. Well, to all of us.
Let me
And
pull
do I
up
have it
some
in here?
scans just to get it ready now.
There it is. Okay, so in the Assyrian, and again, I'll start here because this is quarrying, modern quarrying techniques. Somebody was
more modern.
more modern. And they did it to a bunch of these blocks. So you can see that they put
Yeah.
holes in here, and they were trying to break this off, and this didn't break right. They got this piece up here, but they
Right.
wanted more of it. So, you can see some of these have patterns. It's difficult to be sure, but you can kind of see some patterns. It's hard to tell if it's from erosion or not. But here we go. One of the walls of the Assyrian interior, it's got this pillowy, and you can see all these rough scoops all over it. The sun was really in a good position to show this. All these lines going up and down on these stones. Up and down, and I'm not talking about this patina or this mold or growth or whatever. You can see in the stone itself, there are these lines that go up and down, like somebody was scooping at it with some kind of tool from an articulated machine. Here's some.
Yeah.
They had nubs. There's two
Right.
nubs here that have been
off.
cut off. Right. Here's one that's inset. So yeah, you can see nubs. Some of these have, I don't know. There's lots of interesting patterns. But this wall, going in this direction, here's a big scoop. Right, going
Yep.
down.
Yep.
Oh. But going in this direction, now here we have the same effect we saw on the Menkaure pyramid, where they were planing this wall off flat. They were taking this previously pillowy shape, which Kyle talked about on one of the audio shows we did, that you do this because you're protecting what you want the final face of this block to be is hidden under several inches of hard stone here.
Because you're transporting it, maybe gets
Because-
damaged, whatever, right?
Yeah. What you want is this face.
And you want your lifting nubs.
And you need your nubs. Yeah. So once you've got them in place, you cut off nubs and some of the pillowing to get them kind of so that they're not so much in the way. Because if you got a nub here that's sticking out 12 inches or whatever, it's going to be in the way of you doing work. So you get rid of that stuff.
Yep.
But you don't face it yet. But then they started facing it,
facing
and they're doing it from the top down, which is another thing I saw. Like when you go paint a house, you start at the top of the wall and work your way down.
Right.
When you're doing finishing work, you start at the top
and work down.
and work down, because stuff's going to be falling, and if you finish these off, bits of rock falling down here are going to damage your face on this block down here. So you do it up here, and it looks, again, the painting imagery is apt because it looks like they were using like a roller. You can see the
they're like right.
Right,
It's scooped down somehow. Yeah.
and they did the ceiling first. The ceiling is very flat.
I think those
look
were
at that.
flattened before they were.
Yeah,
put
they
up
were probably were. But look at this. Look at this line.
This is a great picture. Mind you also the blocks above here are gigantic too. Like the,
Oh,
Yes,
the roof
these-
blocks
these
in
going-
the Assyrian
these-
are monstrous.
These going across the top here are mind-bogglingly enormous. It's hard to capture that in photographs. But again, I was just really fascinated with this process that, again, looks unfinished to me. Like it looks like they intended to do it to the entire thing and never
Got
finished
around to
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're
I can't go back and forth too. I can't. It does seem like there's plenty of evidence that there was an event or something happened that caused down tools.
Yes.
We see it in the Serapeum. We see it in places like this. We see it on the wall of the third pyramid. You got the box in the hallway at the Serapeum. That sort of stuff. It seemed,
Right.
mate. It does seem like at some point something interrupted this because you're right. This doesn't. This looks like they're intending to do it everywhere, and they
And
stopped.
So I want to show this because Kyle has talked about this quite a few
Around the
times. Now you
corner.
can imagine this block before they faced it was a pillow. It's stuck out here, right? And when they faced it off, now it makes this corner go around the corner.
Yep. That's
right?
how they
It's
do it.
really, It's just really cool how you end up with the multiple effects that we see, and then there's things like this. I've got some better pictures, but stuff like this, these little insets.
Oh yeah.
Now, we have some good pictures of this. Let's see. Yeah, here's one. They don't go all the way through the wall. They're just because the builders intended, when they faced this off, which they never did here, I don't think,
No.
that this would be square, that there wouldn't be a hole here. Like this block down here clearly had a problem right at this corner.
Mm-hmm.
So you make this little inset so that when your facing machine comes along and planes the whole thing off, it's got a corner there and not a hole, not a gap, right?
Yep.
Here's some more. You can see the patterns.
Those
Scooping
are like
patterns.
quarry patterns
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
Here's a
Another
beautiful
inset.
inset.
Yeah.
There was some. It implies to me that there was just some error here with this edge of the block, so they scooped it out and stuck this in there. And then when it would have been planed off, it would have been perfect, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, here's nubs.
Yep.
All right, I'm done.
No, I like
Let's
that. Yeah.
let's look at some scans.
All right, I've got people asking for Tannis. We will probably get to Tannis. I don't know if we'll get to Tannis today, but we will definitely get around to that. One of the things I want to talk about was I don't know if we have time for the topic, but the giant statues and the reuse of them, because we had a couple of examples of giant feet and giant hands that
Yes.
is a fun thing to kind of consider. Let me find a Blender. Where are you, Blender? Show all windows.
A blender.
Yeah, we'll get some Blender going. If I can find it. Where am I seeing? Blender. Here we go. All right, let me move it over here. You guys can see that, I take it?
Let's see. Kyle's working on audio.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. We see.
Yep. So this is, it says, I don't know how well the motion's going to apply for you guys. But so this is some of the scoop marks. We've got the back of Catcher here as well. But it's one of the things I'm able to do with this is to do some basic measurements of these scoop marks, because I got right down beneath beneath this rock.
Yeah.
I still need to learn how to drive Blender a little bit better. But yeah, it's I got some. I'm moving.
Are you
it.
moving it? Because I haven't seen it move yet.
Okay. Well, I am moving it here on the
okay.
on the stream. You guys, you are screen
Yeah,
sharing.
maybe we'll.
Is it caught up yet at all?
It hasn't moved as
Okay.
far as I know.
All right. It is moving
Yeah,
for
I
the
think-
stream, so
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. I'll open the stream.
Well, yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I'm just I don't know. I gotta let me grab another one here. File import wavefront. I do make these available for patrons and stuff.
Did it
as
make
well.
a new window when you started moving it?
Maybe
probably
did.
what
Let me try stopping
Yeah.
sharing and share it again. Blender. There we go.
Now we can see what's going on.
Okay. Quarry 2. Let's try this. See what this is.
Yep.
Okay, so this is so this is the one I was looking for actually. So this is like this is the inside of the of underneath this rock here. Like this is, you can actually get right in and get right down.
Oh yeah.
In between the pieces itself, like get a good look at, like you say, we sort of saw it on the pictures, but just these uniform scoop marks. Maybe we get the wall here as well. We kind of do a little bit of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then over here too, like right down in amongst the the polygons. But yeah, you can get down and
there it is.
Yeah, see like the scoop marks underneath. I need to get to working on Blender, but this, you really get some remarkable results here. And I think what we'll find, and what I'm going to be looking to do, is to do a lot of measurements of these different scoop marks to see if there's any uniformity to them. And yeah, you get these huge lines of the same things. So let me pull up another one here. File, open, import, wavefront. And I definitely need to work on my Blender skills.
Yeah, no
Let's
problem.
see.
What app are you using, by the way,
This
to do the scanning?
I use the iPad, Pro, and there's a couple. There's one called it's like 3D scanner, and then there's another one that's Polycam. I think is the one that I like. You got to pay to export with Polycam. You got to like do the premium model, which is fine. It seems to get better results. So this is exactly what I was talking about with the scoop mark. So remember we talked about quarrying with the standard sort of dashed line that you get. So this is what I think we're looking at here, is the result of the scooping underneath something. Yes. So you see that ridge that's here. So I think these
that used to be a giant boulder up there.
I think so, and I think this also on the left and on the far sides of these scoop marks was probably a wall as well. So they dug a pit down, and then scooped underneath something, and then this is the ridge that they likely snapped this entire granite piece off. Yeah,
that is a great observation right there. I love that. Yes,
and I think that's what's left. And then this may have been a wall, and then this may have been removed and cut down as well. So this may have originally been a trench on both sides of an object, or even wider, and then they've come in underneath it and then snapped this off and removed it, whatever it was.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and you can. The nice thing about this is you get that aerial view. You can kind of look at it from above, you know.
And you can measure it too.
Exactly. So I don't know if I can do it here. Measurement. So you can do like awesome. There to. Yeah. So that's like 0.54. You know, 0.59, 0.57. So yeah, you can get right down and start measuring stuff. So these all seem pretty similar.
That was another point we were talking about. It's like, I keep thinking of sonic drilling. That the sonic resonance, being able to utilize, say, a slurry of some aggregate material that's very hard, along with your tool that could be copper, it could be iron, whatever. The tool head that's being resonated,
right,
to get the slurry to do the cutting action. I keep thinking of this, that process, and of course the metal tool is going to wear away. So if you have sharp corners, if you have a big flat chisel and you're using that to cut these scoop marks, it's going to round off over time. Right?
Right.
Now, when you're in the quarry, you don't care if you have a big rounded, blunt-ended tool that you're quarrying with, because you're just moving masses of material. So your tool gets sort of rounded. You end up with these sort of scoopy-looking marks. Whereas when you're flattening a wall in the temple, you're doing the finish work, you're using your sharpest brand new tool to do that wall. And when you look at those pictures in the Assyrian, you see that when that tool is going down, I mean, it's flat. There's no scoopy looking roundness to it. And at the edge where they stopped, it just sort of, you see like the beveled edge where it pulls away from the wall, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
So it seems like the same process to me. The flattening and this scooping is just the difference between
the tooltips.
The tooltip being
And
blunt and rounded, or nice and machined edged flat tool.
Yeah, right. I get it. It's this will be interesting. I'll make an effort to. It's probably not worth doing something on stream, but I definitely want to get in and try and do some more precise sort of measurement of a lot of this stuff. But yeah,
no, it's fun watching you drag it around and put lines on it and stuff.
Play with it.
Yeah, well, the scans are great, and we definitely need to do that ourselves next time too. And more people doing it, the better. I'm worried that they're going to catch on, and then they're going to start banning
maybe
somehow. I don't know. Yeah.
So I'm just taking a video, bro. It's like
right.
Like
so they're because these new devices are going to have Lidar involved in all of them, that they're just going to ban all cell phones again.
Maybe. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, they see cell phones are the exception now when you go to Egypt, right? They tend to they let you run around with a cell phone. So and actually, I think
keep it on the download, dudes.
Keep it on the download. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody.
Stuff.
Don't tell them we're scanning stuff.
High quality Lidar scans.
Yeah. But yeah, cool.
Diorite ball simulator.
What? It's a diorite ball simulator. Yeah,
diorite ball simulator.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Yes, it's a diorite ball simulator. That's what we're doing. Yeah. No, it was good.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover? It's
2 hours.
6 o'clock.
Yeah. That's probably a good place to wrap it up for now, I think. Yeah, good chat. Like we just jumped straight into it too. We didn't talk much about the trip or the people or anything else or the fun stuff that happened. But I do want to say with you guys, like, it was a real pleasure, like, spending the time with you guys in Egypt. Like, I loved it. Having you guys come there, and I really get a kick out of seeing people, particularly people that are really interested and invested in things like Egypt, see that stuff for the first time, and just the mind getting blown repeatedly. Kind of
mind
thing.
explosions all 2 weeks.
That's right. Every freaking day. That's right. Well,
So
thanks,
much fun.
Matt. It was likewise. It was a pleasure. And like you said, we didn't mention much of the group, but everyone there was amazing. If any of you were watching, we miss you guys.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. You guys. I mean, Egypt is really cool, but you guys also made the experience just so much more amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talk about it on your stream as well, but I love the group. Like the goddamn that photo of the paparazzi line of when the widescreen looking at, there's all these devices and cameras and things like aimed up, because we step back, we'll take a picture, while we're not all up on this thing. It's not a person or it's not artwork, it's not anything, it's a granite box, and it's like the whole crowd's like aiming, oh, look at this granite box, and it's just like, this is the right crowd. It was it was cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
In a temple surrounded with all this artwork, and we're looking at a chunk of granite in the corner that no one pays attention to.
Yeah, all the other tourists are oohing and ahhing at the artwork and like, look at the beautiful paint. We're like, look at the granite. And like, this is this broken chunk of granite in a dark corner. We're all like, look at this. And
that's
people
right.
are like measuring it and shit.
Granidiots.
Granidiots. Yeah. Granidiots. Definitely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Yusuf, he's epic teacher for this stuff. I love spending time with him.
Man,
I know everyone always gets a lot out of him. So, it was cool.
Yep. Well, we can do more of this. I think
so.
Plenty of more questions, and I've got a whole bunch more photos we could go through. All of us do.
Yeah, same here.
This was a lot of fun. We'll get our streaming game up to par before we try it again.
You got to start somewhere, folks.
Well, maybe we'll try it again later tonight, right? I think Cosmographia
I know.
is supposed to be live.
We're gonna have to fix our problems before later tonight, which is why we got to get off the show now, because we need time to fix our problems before we start that.
Yeah. So everyone.
Yeah. So thanks. Yeah. Thanks to everybody, and UnchartedX.com, brothersoftheserpent.com.
Indeed.
Brand, you're gonna have to send us the video, because we don't have.
I will.
We actually.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
I could just tell everybody, you want a podcast this week, go to Ben's channel. It's
no. We'll get to the video and everything, and just to let everybody know that we will be back with Randall. I think it's going to be live streamed tonight. That's the intent anyway. So I think 7:30 Pacific, so 9:30 Central on the Cosmographia Randall Carlson channel. We're going to join those guys for a chat. Probably a bit more about Egypt, a bit more about the Scablands trips, and see wherever the conversation goes. Should be fun. So
maybe you have to stream it instead of us if we can't get it.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody. We'll see you in the next.